Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Tuesday, May 31st, 2011. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. It's going to be archived so you can see it anytime at your convenience. On this day in history, and actually if you need to reach us during this broadcast, if you're watching it live, you can call in at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. In 1889, the famous Johnstown flood occurred today. In Johnstown, Pennsylvania, when a dam broke, inundating the town, killing more than 2,000 people just about instantly. There's a very good museum up there to the effects of the flood, actually. And on this day in I won't give the date, but he is 81 years old today, Clint Eastwood, the actor. Also, oddly enough, despite the fact that U.S. home prices dropped again, and consumer confidence is waned again during the month of May, the stock market is actually up about 66 points. Meanwhile, all last week on good news, the stock market went down. So once again, it goes to prove you can't figure it out. Well, we'll go to our world, which is a little bit easier to figure out, usually. Here we go. State Farm in Bloomington, Illinois has announced that they paid out about $916 million in claims. This is from tornadoes and other storms that hit the central and southeast U.S. in April and in May. The loss figure does not include any damages from the gigantic tornado that wiped out Joplin, Missouri on May 22nd, or any of the tornadoes that swept through Oklahoma and Texas last week. So that definitely will put them above $1 billion in U.S. claims this year alone. State Farm said that so far it has fielded about 300,000 home, business, and motor claims in connection with the April and May events. State Farm Executive VP Brian Boyden said, from the claim volumes and types and extent of damage, you could very easily characterize these storms as a spring hurricane. So for the first 5 months of the year, State Farm said it has paid out $2.5 billion in claims, in CAT claims across North America. That, of course, includes Canada. And you can add to that the figures for Joplin and Oklahoma. Well, over the weekend, you've probably been noticing this, but German ministers and disease experts are meeting today to discuss an outbreak of E. coli bacteria. European health experts are calling it one of the biggest of its kind worldwide. As many as 16 people are feared dead now from the deadly E. coli bacteria. The German health minister said that authorities are still uncertain about the definitive source of the infection, although it's believed to have originated from raw vegetables. Traces of the bacteria were found on organic cucumbers imported from Spain last week, sparking fears that this could be the source of the bacteria and prompting bans on Spanish produce. Spain said there is no evidence to prove the infection began with its vegetables. The Spanish agriculture minister said that the government would be seeking damages over allegations that the outbreak was caused by Spanish cucumbers. On Monday afternoon, Russia banned the import of all vegetables from Germany and Spain and warned that the sanction could be applied to the rest of Europe. Southern Spanish authorities said that they've introduced restrictions on 2 distributors of organic cucumbers. Well, in London, Nove Syndicates has confirmed that it's undertaking due diligence over a possible merger with another Lloyd's syndicate, Omega, or as the British would call it, Omega. This was first revealed by the Insurance Insider last week in a statement to the LSE this morning. Nove said it was currently considering the merits of the transaction and noted it was not certain that an offer would be forthcoming. Nove said that the possible merger was in line with its stated strategy to review possible transaction opportunities and said it would make further announcements as required. It's also understood that Nove joins a line of others, including Canopius and Barbican, as well as Delphi Financial, as also being interested in Omega. The bid process is being managed on behalf of Omega by Kinmont, with Sanko Security acting as broker. Because of the size of Nove, it's most likely that this would be a straight-up merger, whereas some of the other names I just mentioned would perhaps be offering more in the way of cash. So we'll see what happens with this. CEO Torsten Jawork of Munich Re told the Financial Times Deutschland that Munich Re is disproportionately represented in the U.S. and thus is seeking to acquire insurers who insure U.S. industry or niche markets. Torsten Jawork also named Latin America and Asia as ideal markets for acquisition. No specific targets were noted by Jawork. Munich Re has had a troubled few weeks following revelations that its retail arm, Ergo, hosted a sex party for the company's top-performing salesman in Budapest. The Munich Re share price plunged about £6 in the wake of the sex scandal, down to about 105 euros, the lowest price in a 2-month period. This is a picture of the CEO of Suncor, Patrick Snowball. Mr. Snowball is under pressure from global reinsurers to raise his premiums. Talks between Suncor and reinsurers have suffered because of Suncor's resistance to steep price increases brought on by the recent natural disasters in its primary writing areas of New Zealand and Australia. According to a report in the Australian press over the weekend, Suncor plans to lift home insurance premiums by 10% and car insurance by 2.5%. The negotiations will be closely watched by the insurance industry, as Suncor is the first of the big local insurers to begin reinsurance talks. Insurance Australia Group renews at the end of 2011. Patrick Snowball said yesterday he didn't expect reinsurance costs to blow through the roof, but in relation to cat cover in New Zealand, he said the premium pool isn't big enough. He said the company might have to start looking at different ways of restructuring cover. He said, quote, "Will there be another earthquake tomorrow or the day after? Can you go look on covering huge commercial risks or look at something else?" He said the company had not yet gotten its hands around the risks of the February 22nd earthquake yet. Local industry sources claim that New Zealand's claims will be double the $4 billion annual general insurance premium pool that they take in. The total premium pool for both Australia and New Zealand is estimated at $22 billion, and some sources are suggesting that the claims have already exceeded this number. Meanwhile, in Japan, a typhoon Sangda, has caused heavy rain that has flooded the already devastated Miyagi area of northern Japan, further hindering reconstruction after the March 11th earthquake and tsunami. Torrential rains brought by Sangda caused landslides and floods, leaving at least 13 dead. Roads have been swept away in at least 200 places, and 19 bridges have been washed away. Authorities in the northeast of Tokyo urged more than 500,000 residents to evacuate their homes over the weekend following the flooding of a river. Up to 1,000 troops have been deployed supporting rescue missions and strengthening flood protection. Sangda was downgraded to a tropical storm in the southwestern part of Japan late on Sunday, but strong winds and rain are continuing to batter the north. And the IKEA company is having a little bit of problem. 3 of their stores in the Netherlands, France, and Belgium have been hit by firework attacks. No injuries have been reported, and the stores are reopening as scheduled after the European holiday today. Police near Eindhoven in the Netherlands said this morning that an explosion destroyed a trash can shortly before the store was due to close yesterday. Customers and staff were evacuated. IKEA said that the explosions were caused by small fireworks devices. The spokesperson also said that IKEA has received no threats in connection with the 3 incidents that were separately seen, one at the Eindhoven store, one in Lille, France, and one in Ghent, Belgium. Dutch IKEA stores have a history of receiving bomb threats, some serious and some bogus. It's interesting. Here's something you don't see very often. Earlier today, apparently, the German government was involved in a big discussion with the Iranians. The German government ended up calling the decision made by the Iranian government to block Chancellor Angela Merkel's plane from entering Iranian airspace on her way to India as completely unacceptable. They summoned their ambassador, the Iranian ambassador in Berlin, to the foreign ministry, Merkel's plane, an Airbus 340 with a full delegation, was forced to circle over Turkey for about 2 hours earlier today after Iran initially refused to let it enter the country. Now, she was flying from Turkey to India and was going to cross Iranian airspace. There was no explanation as to why the Tehran government blocked entry after it had previously granted overflight permission. According to the German foreign minister, this is a lack of respect toward Germany that we will not accept. The ministry summoned the Iranian ambassador in Berlin, Ali Reza, to deliver Germany's complaint with great clarity. The chancellor and her delegation eventually made their way to India by overflying Iran after intensive diplomatic intervention took place between the German government and the Iranian government. Apparently also the Turkish government was involved in acting as an intermediary in the diplomatic back and forth. Mrs. Merkel said upon landing, "I've never experienced anything like that. The pilots haven't either." Well, if we start getting to that stage, I think it'd be relatively easy to ensure that Iran developed simply a domestic air carrier service, because just about any country that would require them to be afforded overflight rights would very quickly say no. And I frequently see a big Iranian Air 747 at Heathrow Airport. If I took a map out, I'm sure I could count the number of countries that that plane has to fly over to get from Tehran to London. That's all the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. If not, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.